10 toxic things parents tell their children. Parenting is a full-time and a lifetime job. Once you are a parent, your role and responsibilities towards your kids will never end. Parenting can be exhausting and challenging, and it can bring out your best and worst versions. It is up to you how good a parent you will be. There's no doubt how pure parents and children's relationships can be. No matter how old you grow, your relationship with your parents will never fade away, and you'll always learn something from your parents. But if you have toxic parents, life can be problematic. Nothing in the world is toxic than irrelevant things toxic parents say to their children. Similar is the case with you and your child. You will never stop teaching them things even when they grow up. A child's social, emotional, and physical development depends on how well you are nurturing them. You need to have a positive relationship with your children regardless of what situation you might be in. Whether you're a single parent, divorced parent, or have a good relationship with your partner, you should have a good relationship with your child no matter what your problem is. Your kids will be happy 3 times more when they have a good relationship with you. Most people clearly recognize that serious maltreatment, like abuse or neglect, can have a lasting impact on children. But what about toxic parenting strategies that don't rise to an extreme level of abuse? Or what about destructive parenting behaviors that might be less obvious? Toxic parents lie, manipulate, ignore, judge, abuse, shame, humiliate, and criticize. Their actions and behaviors all fall under the umbrella of neglect or emotional, verbal, or physical abuse. Nothing is ever good enough for them. It doesn't matter if you get an A or become class president. They'll always find a way to bring you down, compare you, and then criticize you for the way you fall. Number 1. Criticism of a child's appearance. You're ugly, too fat, too small, too thin, you have ugly hair. Humiliation of a child based on his or her appearance can increase levels of insecurity and concerns about their body. This can lead to serious emotional problems such as eating disorders. While setting standards can be helpful and healthy, parents should teach their children how to learn to love themselves no matter their outward appearance. Parents who mock their child's appearance are preparing them to grow up as individuals who have low self-esteem and many insecurities. Number 2. Stop being such a baby. When your child is feeling an emotion, you shut them down by shaming them, the message you send is that it's not okay to feel emotions. In turn, they're always going to be apprehensive about feeling things, which isn't going to help them at all in the long run. Whenever a parent shuts their child's emotions, it is preparing them to grow up as an individual who's very conscious of their emotions. They're not allowed to feel much. Number 3. Unhealthy comparison. Why aren't you like your friends? Why is your sibling smarter than you? Other kids are better than you. Why can't you get higher results like your cousin? This will affect negatively to a child because it reduces his self-confidence in a notable way. It makes the child think that he will never be good enough, regardless of how hard they try. Also, comparing a kid with his own siblings do nothing but build an unhealthy relationship with each other. This is a huge reason to cause them to feel anger, hatred, and jealousy towards their own siblings. Children should be given the freedom to build their own independent identities. Just because they are all your kids, they shouldn't be equal talented towards something, to education, to sports, to extracurricular activities, etc. Number 4. Empty promises. Saying if you do this, I'll buy you that, or I'll take you there next time, but won't do it. Uttering promises you don't keep breaks a child's trust. It'll make them feel betrayed, and eventually they'll grow up finding it hard to trust others as well. Childhood is an essential part of human life. A child's experiences will dictate their personality and behavior in the future. Although words cannot harm them physically, it could be extremely harmful in their emotional well-being. So, teach them in the way they should go, in the way God wants it to be. Number 5. Not letting the child express negative emotions. Parents who refuse to nurture their child's emotional needs and make light of their negative emotions are setting up a future where the child will feel unable to express what they need. There's nothing wrong with helping children see the positive side of any situation. However, being completely dismissive of a child's negative feelings and emotional needs can lead to depression and make it more difficult for them to appropriately handle negativity as adults. Number 6. I sacrificed a lot for you. Whatever you are today is because of me, so be grateful for it. This is one of those things toxic parents say when they want you to feel indebted to them for life. They conveniently forget the fact that as a parent, it's their responsibility to take care of you and give you a good life, and instead of using their basic responsibility as a way of manipulating you into doing what they want you to do. They will attack you every time you go against them, but try not to let this get to you. They do this because deep down inside they are highly unsatisfied and unhappy with how their lives turn out. They couldn't achieve what they wanted, and now in order to compensate for that, they're dumping their beliefs and broken dreams on you and forcing you to fulfill them. Number 7. Praising their achievements only. When parents praise kids for getting a perfect score on a math test or the most points in a game, they teach them that their accomplishments matter more than everything else. Kids who only hear praise for their achievements rather than for putting in the hard work it took to get there, or a willingness to be brave or try something where they may fail, may grow up to become adults who think they need to succeed at all costs. They might be more willing to lie, cheat, and steal so they can come out a winner. Number 8. They refuse to understand their child's perspective. Although it is uncommon to have disagreements between parents and children, a toxic parent usually fails to put in the effort to understand their child's perspective. Instead, they only have what they want in mind. Having an unreasonable parent can be tough for a child, as they may have a difficult time communicating with their parents. Despite this, a little effort from both parties can go a long way. Number 9. Not believing in their children's privacy. Especially as a kid grows older, some parents really struggle to give them space. They might read through their kids' diaries or rummage through their backpacks to look through their notes. Children who wish to lock their doors or work on a project alone might be regarded with suspicion. Such parents will often justify dismissing their kids' requests for privacy by insisting it's their house, their rules, kids don't need privacy. They reason, unless they're up to no good. Parents like these often have a hard time seeing their child's emotional needs. They're also often prone to expecting the worst. Number 10. Expecting your child to toughen up. You've got to toughen up. If you have a sensitive child, see it as a gift. We could use a little more empathy, emotion, and tenderness in the world. If you expect your child to toughen up, it will make them feel like that their emotions are not at all appreciated, which in adulthood makes them uncomfortable in expressing their emotions. Effects of toxic parenting on child. One of the biggest short-term consequences for a child who is the victim of toxic parenting is the constant feeling of being trapped. Whether it's physical, verbal, or emotional abuse, you feel trapped if you're a child. It's not like a child can just get up and leave to go live on his or her own. You're left at the mercy of the people who love and take care of us. Even more disturbing are the long-term effects of toxic parenting can have on a child. Your parents are your introduction to the world. We think what we see in their behavior is normal until you are 5 or 6 years old. If you're the child of toxic parents, she says it's only then that you are old enough to realize that perhaps that toxic behavior isn't normal. By that point, though, much of the damage has been done. These are learned behaviors that we can continue to perpetuate on others as well as our own children. If you're raised thinking that toxic behavior is normal, then you'll think that's how you're supposed to behave with your children too. It can damage relationships outside your family too. If we don't understand how to treat people and how to be in reciprocal relationships where there's a give and take, then it can spread beyond your family too. You develop the following problems in adulthood because of toxic parenting. Having a hard time saying no because your boundaries weren't respected. Becoming more susceptible to developing anxiety disorders. Working hard to please others to fit in. Having a hard time being your authentic self. Having a high tolerance for poor treatment from others. Self-sabotaging. Believing people close to you will hurt you or abandon you. Expecting the worst from people in life in general, possibly developing an insecure and avoidant attachment style in your relationships. So, if you enjoyed learning about toxic parenting behavior, do not forget to like and subscribe, share it with your friends who need to watch this or who have been a victim of toxic parenting.